Welcome, I'm Mike Chastain, Children's Director here at Victory Church, and I'd love to invite you to like and subscribe below so that you never miss any content that we post here on the YouTube channel. And without further ado, the message you actually came here to see.
Okay, I decided, just sitting there, I thought, it'd be a fun game to play. Let's see who can hold out the longest, right, with holding these things. And then once they're all gone and out, then the sermon's over. Okay, so you can either blow it out now, we can get out, or you got to get something to do, or we can just hang on to it. Huh? All right, thanks, Colton. All right, already done. Oh, okay. Why don't you go ahead and, okay. You can blow it out. It's okay. It's all right. All right. It's not the gospel light. It's a light, but it's not the little gospel light. And you can sit down. Like all the songs we've learned in church are "Don't blow it out," right? This little gospel light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Good job. And so, by the way, if you're like, how come the sermon's not over yet? I blew out my candle. You can blame the people up here. Okay, and we're going to hold out for as long as possible. But when we read through the lessons tonight, and we read through them, and normally the one we typically focus on is always going to be Luke chapter 2, because it's got the beautiful story in it. We've got the shepherds, we've got the angels, we've got this magnificent announcement of the gift of peace, and we talk about the gift of Jesus, and it inspires us tonight to come into worship. But part of it is you're also going to be with your family tonight, and you think about the new family that was gathered in Bethlehem. That wasn't just Mary and Joseph and the baby. It was all who heard the good news and believed. They all joined together and rushed together to celebrate. So all of a sudden you've got this new group of people there celebrating together. And then we also have the inspiration that we have of the gift of the baby, the gift of God, and then we go and give gifts to each other. We give gifts to those that we love and that we care about. But sometimes, though, from my vantage point, because this is what I've had in my life, I've lived this in my life, where it's really about the family food and the gifts. And we're inspired by this ancient story for an evening or two. And we miss out on the gift, that the gift wasn't the baby. Part of the gift, maybe. The gift is the gift of life. In John chapter 1, and when John writes these words, he's not thinking necessarily of a baby in a manger. He's talking about his friend, the one that he knew, the one that he saw. He said about him, this guy was from the very beginning. The Word was with God, was with God at the beginning, and was God, and He was with God at the beginning, and everything was created by Him and through Him, and it takes us back to that moment of Adam and Eve. The creation story, Jesus was part of that. He was there. And Jesus was there when it was broken. And when something is broken, a relationship particularly, a thing or something of creation, when something is broken, all the hope gets sucked out of it. Peace no longer exists. Joy turns into despair. Love can even turn into hatred because you just don't know how to deal with the stuff. I'll never forget, upstairs in our home, in my home growing up, we had a laundry chute. Sounds fancy, okay, but it's not. I grew up in Flint, not fancy, okay. But it was an older home where you had it and all your laundry stuff was down in the basement. Do anybody know what a basement is here? Okay, good. Some of you know. Okay, you know what a basement it goes. And I used to play games up there when my mom would call for the laundry, and I used to try to see if I could hit her with the laundry as it went down the chute. But I'll never forget one day afternoon, my dad asked me to do something. My mom or my dad asked me to do something that made me upset and angry. As a kid, what do? You don't really have the verbalize, and you'll get in trouble. So I took the door to the laundry chute, bam, and smashed it shut. And the knob exploded and went everywhere. Can't hide this one. Dad's going to be mad. I can't fix it. There's no amount of super glue or whatever, even if I knew how to use it, it wasn't going to work. And so I hid the evidence. Which sister am I going to blame? Okay, I don't know how it got there. It just happened. And I myself hid. Stayed away from my dad. I didn't want to hear from him. I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to be in trouble. Because once it was broken, it was broken. That's just a little story. We've got whole lives full of brokenness. And we see this with Adam and Eve. Hope was suddenly gone. Their relationship with God was now different. They were scared. They're scared. They didn't have peace. Peace was replaced with fear and anxiety. What's going to happen? We're afraid of you. What are you going to do to us? We loved you. Can you still love us? Joy gone. It's broken. And hatred, because all of a sudden, man blaming woman, woman blaming snake. And we start hating each other. It wouldn't happen this way if it weren't for you. It's your fault and it's not my fault. And the finger pointing starts. And then we have the introduction of death. It's all gone. It's all gone. And it passes out into everything. The book of Romans, Paul talks about the impact. He says sin came in through one man and how it impacted everything. But then you have Jesus who says, we're going to take care of that. And we're going to start by taking away death and giving you life. And not just a baby born in a manger, but I'm going to give you my life. And as John would write, he came to everyone and he was rejected. He came to those who were supposed to know him and they didn't know him at all. They rejected him instead. We know that he would die. And as John, I love the words when he says, he's his testimony to us. Man, I've tried to figure out all these things because I'm just a regular dude, as a regular fisherman working with an accountant, working with a tax collector, working with other fishermen, and we're all these different guys, and we all had the same problems that we could not find life until this guy showed up. And whether you want to believe it or not, we didn't have it until that guy came onto the scene. And he said, this guy came and he was full of grace and he was full of truth. He was the light, the life, and the light of all mankind. This guy was different. And that light, the light that is Jesus, shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. He died and was not overcome. The baby was born, died, and was not overcome. The darkness has not overcome it. So this light that we celebrated in the past, we celebrate now and we celebrate in the future because the darkness will not overcome it. And he came full of grace and truth. He made his dwelling among us, meaning he came to be not just, walking around and on a vacation with us. He was with us, is with us. The one promised to Adam and Eve, the one foretold by Isaiah as wonderful counselor, mighty God, Prince of Peace, who you see his effects still happening today. The world is better when we follow Jesus. And then he came to replace death with his life. Full of grace and truth. He made his dwelling among us. And it's like his first line was, I'm not against you. I'm full of grace. God in the garden was not against Adam and Eve. Broke a rule, so we got to do something about it. And we're going to do something about it, and we're going to show you love. So in my showing you love and grace and mercy, I'm also going to show you the truth. The devil will tell you it's broken and it's always going to be broken. You're dead and you're always going to be dead. Nobody can forgive you. Nobody can love you. There should have no hope. Who could love you? Why have hope for anything? Dead is dead. What are you going to do? That's the devil talking. And Jesus shows us the exact opposite of everything. He restores our hope. He restores and he gives us peace. He brings light to our chaos and our darkness. He renews us with joy, even when we shouldn't have joy. And he gives us love and shows us then how to love, how to forgive, how to love your neighbor as yourself. And then ultimately, his life resides in you and me. Holy Spirit leads. Thanks for holding on to the candles, because I wanted everybody to hold on to the candles. Because that's the light. It's not just, hey, we're sitting around outside having a prayer vigil. It's about the light of Christ that carries inside of you, and not just the light, but the life of Christ is in you. And the darkness will not overcome it. Even if you're going through just a horrible, hard time right now, everybody does. John knew it. And he said it doesn't matter because we knew a guy. We know a guy. There's no guy like him. He is the light and the life of men. So if that's you tonight, you're wondering, you're feeling the hopelessness, even with all the nostalgia, all the gift giving, you're still feeling that hole. There's a reason. It's because there's no hole. There's nothing that can fill that hole except for God. And I encourage you to receive him tonight, to remind yourselves of who he is, to trust him, not thinking that that's the signal. All right, wrap it up. All right. And he said, God saying to us, receive me and I will love you. I am not against you. I am for you. And I'm for you every single day of your life. No matter whether you're close to me or far to me, I am for you. And that's the truth.